And I think the real key in this is the fact that the German prosecutor over a number of years has been absolutely adamant in his view that they have the right person in custody.
How do you tell a good investigator from a not so good one? And by the way, you can apply this same question to me and to my work and to my efforts. How do you tell a good investigator from a not so good one? Have a look at their record. Have a look at how their expert opinions change over time. As recently as 11 days ago, child victim expert Jim Gamble was perhaps the main character in the Netflix series on Madeleine McCann, the figure whose expertise really shaped virtually the whole investigative analysis. Here we see him describing Christian B as an excellent suspect.
He's an excellent suspect. He fits the profile.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear. Thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science.
He was in the area at the time. He is known to have committed burglaries, in those types of areas in holiday accommodation. He has a background and convictions for child abuse related offences, and his phone critically puts a call from that phone in proximity to the crime scene within 30 or 40 minutes of the crime.
This investigator seems quite certain, and of course this was while the search was going on in Praia da Luz about 11 days ago. Yesterday, though, Gamble seemed to take a more cerebral view, saying Madeleine's folks will get answers one day. Have a look at this headline. Madeleine McCann's parents will get answers one day, says ex-police chief. Now that it's becoming clearer that there is no evidence forthcoming after this last search and that they can't find evidence to implicate Christian B, well, perhaps it's time to stop focusing on him and look elsewhere. You think? Before we get to the rest of this analysis, if you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please hit the thanks button. I do want to highly recommend the Titan submersible documentary on Netflix. I really think it deserves an award. It's a really fantastic piece of investigative journalism, and I do think, after seeing how the Madeleine McCann case was treated on Netflix and more recently JonBenet Ramsey, it's refreshing to see Netflix getting it right, certainly in terms of the Titan. I covered that case in real time. That's also a good example of, has my analysis changed since when I covered that particular case to the present day? Well, you can go through my playlist to check. If you're interested in my ongoing coverage of the Madeleine McCann case, you might want to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to get alerts regarding the latest videos, and let's get started.
Well, the principle is, of course, we're 18 years on and we're 18 years wiser.
At the time that he gave this interview, he seemed very confident that they were going to find something to implicate Christian Brueckner, and was certainly defending in a way this latest investigation. And he was saying, well, we're 18 years wiser. Are we? According to an article in the Express, Mr. Gamble told express.co.uk the investigation has now effectively split into two parts. One, where does the overall investigation stand? We're almost becoming focused so much on one particular very strong suspect that we could be getting tunnel vision. You think? If individuals are now thinking Christian Brueckner is the person, then they stop looking elsewhere. When the hysteria over Brueckner really gained steam in June 2022, I didn't think it would last long. I was wrong. The British media somehow kept that pinata in the headlines, that shit show, pretending to be a show pony for 3 long years, breathlessly promising the British public an arrest any day now. To manufacture utter nonsense for 3 years, bumper to bumper on the trot, that takes some doing. So there was tunnel vision, but I have to say, if you can only see that now that the search has yielded nothing, that there might have been a mistake with the original reasoning. I mean, how good a sleuth are you to begin with?
What I would say is it's critical and it's time bound. The clock is ticking for the German prosecutor. That's why they're pushing on this. And they need that one piece of forensic evidence that will inextricably link their suspect to this crime. And that's why they're pushing. But based on the intelligence and the information they have, they are, I hope, in the right place and they know what they're looking for.
Well, the audio just softened where he says, I hope they're in the right place. Do you think that they were? Do you think that they have been on the right track? Anyway, that is what he said 11 days ago. Now in this article, he says he described the evidence against Brueckner as powerful. Then he says, despite the challenges, Gamble said he remains hopeful. I'm an optimist. I believe sometime in my lifetime we will find out what happened to Madeleine McCann and hold to account any individuals involved. Now, do you notice how the time has gone from critical and time is, absolutely urgent. Now it's suddenly becoming, we've got a whole lifetime to figure out what happened. This seems to be showing a resignation now about Christian Brueckner. But you know what? Hope isn't what solves cases. He says, I hope they do, and I'm in no doubt that they deserve to know what happened. But hope isn't what solves cases. Evidence and critical thinking is what solves cases. Another case I've covered that may seem totally different to the McCann case is the Titan submersible. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. But there are nevertheless striking similarities. If there are signals telling you something in a case, do you hear them? Can you hear them? Do you listen to them? Do you adapt to what they are telling you?
Do you hear me?
Do you hear? Can you hear? In the submersible case, these signals were a slew of snapping, cracking, popping, and banging noises, all saying one thing, that this carbon fiber hull was weakening. It's called cyclical fatigue. But the CEO ignored these signals, and then the inevitable happened. The craft imploded with him in it. In the Madeleine McCann case, there have also been signals. They're actually called alerts. The ability of folks covering this case to be completely deaf to these signals for 18 years is nothing short of astonishing. Anyway, let's go back to this article. I believe sometime in my lifetime we will find out what happened to Madeleine McCann. But maybe it will take a lifetime for some to eventually hear what has been out there all along. Of course, on the other hand, perhaps there is an incentive not to hear it as well. I'm not going to take it further than that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.